is quite a tight time frame, so we've got 30 minutes to deliver as much value as we possibly can. So bear with us if we run through it quickly, because time constraints permit. It is going to be recorded. We are going to send it out via the usual channels. It will be visible on our website. We will put the final recording on our LinkedIn page as well, and we normally share excerpts from it over the coming weeks as well. Any questions you've got, as I mentioned, we are tight on time, but do enter them into the chat, and we'll come back as quick as we can during the call. If not, we'll follow up via the comments in the LinkedIn at the bottom of this video as well. If you want to get in touch with myself or DJ, please look for us on LinkedIn or revenuegrowthagency.co.uk. Okay, so let's get stuck straight in, DJ. First things first is, why are we doing this webinar? What's the purpose? Well, most of the luxury brands that we speak to have a big growth problem. In most cases, the root of that is that the primary focus of their marketing is at acquiring more revenue from existing customers, or from customers that may not be customers yet, but already know well of the brand. There is a lack of focus on new customer acquisition. And that's one of the things that we talk often about. If you follow us on any of our LinkedIn channels or any of the blogs that Danielle writes, it's often about new customers and our view of the world in that space. Now, the reason why generating more from existing is a challenge is that it produces what we call performance or growth ceilings. You can only sell more to the same body of people to a certain limit before costs increase and your revenue stays the same, or sometimes starts to decay a little bit if you're not introducing new customers into the mix. So cost of acquiring a customer remains expensive and continues to be expensive in some cases, and LTV stay the same. And there's lots of different techniques that we also use, but brands we speak to use to generate more from existing, and they're listed down here. There are many more, of course, but our focus really is at the bottom here, which is generating more from new. And that requires a very, very specific focus on new customers. And what we mean by that is people that don't know the brand. So trying to convert people from a completely cold state, never heard of you before, maybe even not even product aware to a certain degree. So transitioning them away from that place to, okay, I'm interested. And so why this is important is a few things. One is that once you nail that transitional piece from a marketing perspective from completely cold into I'm interested in having a conversation or listening to what a brand has to say, you really have a blueprint for quite rapid growth beyond the performance ceilings that you're used to at the moment. So the purpose of today is to give you that context, and also what DJ is going to do next is talk you through a very specific part of that new customer section, which is all about testing and how to test and why it's important through Meta specifically. But just before he does that, it's worth bearing in mind that in terms of solving the big growth problem, Meta is only part of that. There is a much wider ecosystem of channels, of cross-channel pollination, as we know, and a whole marketing funnel that needs to be explored. But the purpose of today is just to give you the insight into our brains, and particularly DJ's brain, of how he goes about testing and why that's important. So I'll hand over to you, DJ.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Testing is not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. This is what I do every day. In the company, I also have this title of CTO, Chief Testing Officer. I do that on a daily basis. And it's important because we have a lot of ideas, amazing ideas. We created a lot of assets. We craft a lot of copies, but we never know if it's going to hit the mark. And the purpose of all those assets is to create a conversation, to spark interest into the user for our product. We all are biased. We think, this is going to do it, etc. But there's a real life out there. And so the testing is a necessity to make sure that what we created matches the purpose in real life. And so testing is more of a science, and it requires a dedicated testing environment. Why is that? Because you need the test to be conclusive, to give you a real answer onto is the assets, the copy, the title, something that is going to resonate, grab attention, spark interest in a different order, but that's it. And for that, you need your test to be not biased or skewed by anything. And you want to be able to compare apples to apples. You cannot, for example, an ad, you cannot compare things that have different parameters. You need all parameters to be the same apart from the testing variables. And the problem with Meta is that there's a lot of moving part, but if you, let's say you create a campaign, you put ads in that campaign and you say, I want to test a new title or a new text or a new image. I'm going to put it in the same campaign. You're gonna run into a problem where the algorithm decides what budget, what number of impression goes into each ad, and it does that based on several data points and then parameters. But the problem you're going to run into is that your testing ads might not have any money spent on, or not enough for your tests to be conclusive. And so what you want is having, so this is an ad and you see that there's basically 3 different parameters that can be tested. You can come up with a whole new messaging in your copy and say, I want to test that. And that's what you're seeing on the top, on the first parameter on the top, which is the primary text. You can also say, oh, I have this new video or this new image that I want to test along other things. Or you can also have the title, which is the thing in the bottom that you want to test. And you want, so let's say you want to test a copy. What you will want is to take a new campaign that is totally empty, put only the same number of ads as equal to the number of testing candidates. So let's say you have 3 copies that you want to test. You will want 3 different ads. You will craft this ad exactly. All these ads will be exactly the same. All 3 ads exactly the same, but the parameters, that the variable that you want to test. So if you want to test the copy, you will have this ads 3 times. The only thing that will change is the copy. And so this is exactly what I've just explained. Let's say you want to test the image. You can see here I have 2 examples. These are the exact same identical ads. The only thing that changed is the parameter, the variable you want to test, which is the video. Here you have 2 same copies, 2 same titles, only the video is different.
Quick question then, DJ, on this. Is, in your experience, is copy a more valuable, if time's limited, is copy a more valuable test than image? So,
we know empirically, we don't really have data on that, but empirically, Facebook and Instagram are platforms where people scroll for entertainment, education, see their friends and family news, etc. And so the whole gameplay of Facebook and Instagram is to be able to create an ad that will stop the scrolling by grabbing the attention. So the parameter, the variable, the first thing that will create that is the what you see in the center of those ads, which is either the image or the video. So this is the first thing you want to test, is the images or the videos. This is what's going to grab attention and do 90% of the heavy lifting that you're looking at in doing crafting Facebook or Instagram ads. The second thing will be the title, because sometimes the assets, it's a video where you see a lot of things, or it's an image where you see normally a character, a background, a context, and possibly a product or some smaller items. Sometimes it's not very explicit what it's about. So you need to have a look at the title, to see, oh, that's here we can see it's about sandals. Okay, although the left image is pretty obvious what is about, but on the right images, you see legs because of the lighting effect, and that the fact that on the first image the sandals is not at the center of the screen. Sometimes you're like, oh, what is it about? And that is the title. And then if those two first items has done a good job, normally the user will have stopped scrolling, will have spent seconds, milliseconds on the ads, wondering what is it about. I like that. It's interesting, and then they might want to know more. This is where the copy comes into play to finish convincing them to take the action. Here is shop now, but everybody knows that it's clicking and going onto the website.
I think I know your answers to this, but it's test everything is your general mantra, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's test everything, but it's more in the sense that do not assume, do not be biased, never assume. If you make a decision, it's always for yourself based on your own preference, your own biases, etc. What you want is to let the market to decide, because eventually it's the market's going to buy your product and fulfill your business plan. So you really want to let the market decide and make the preference, and then you will follow that by applying decision based on market decision.
It's a conversation we have all the time, isn't it? Where clients would say, I like this and I think we should run with this. And we say, well, we don't know, but your audience might, so let's let them decide, sort of thing. It's always a bit of an ongoing chat, shall we say, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. It's our role to come across with that message that you want to let the market decide, the user decide.
Yeah.
And that's second example. We have a different, still a different image. Can you just go to next slide, please? Okay. So this is one. I wanted to illustrate here that you only need to change, one variable at a time, and so it will be either the copy on top of it, or the image or the video which is in the center. Sometimes it can also be a carousel, and on the bottom you have the title. And so you want to leave only one variable difference. So either all same copies, either all same images and title, and only the copy will change. And in this example here, you can see that we have all copies are the same, all videos, the center assets the same, only the title changes. And this is exactly what a proper test look like. And you will want to run a campaign with only that in the campaign, only those 3 ads. You want to let them run all together, so you can use the automated rules to say, I want each ad to stop being served, to be turned off automatically when we hit a threshold of anywhere between, so I would say the bare minimum is 400 impressions. Might not be statistically significant, so you might want, depends of your stake, depends of if you're in a hurry or not, but you will want to let those run for a minimum of 400 impressions up to 1,000, 1,500, which will create a bit more statistical significance. And then at the end, you will know based on the CTR, maybe you will have the sale or some sales. But if you don't have any sales, it's fine. Sometimes, based on the product, the consideration time before buying can be longer. But the first goal of the ad is to send traffic to the website. So the CTR will be your first KPI of performance. And so at the end of the test, you keep the title that has the biggest CTR of all. All ad will have been run for the same amount of impression. So, that is a proper test. If it happens that the difference in performance is not that big between maybe 2 candidates, well, congratulations. It means that you crafted 2 titles that are that speaks to the audience and that does the job. But make sure that the titles are different enough, because if you just change, from smaller cap to high caps or something that is not, here we can see that the first title, the original sandal brands, is very different to Find Your Perfect Pair. Specifically, that on the first one, it's about the brand. In the second one, it's about the user. And so that's very, very different. So this would make, the result would be very conclusive.
And I think it's worthwhile, because we operate mainly in the premium luxury space. It's worthwhile mentioning that any title or primary text or image test should further the story along. So we mentioned at the start, or I mentioned at the start, about the acquisition of new customers. The first point in time that you get to present one of these ads to a new customer that's in that cold phase, never heard of you before, and I'm not really interested at this stage, is going to be the presentation of these primary text, title, and images. And so make sure that what you write is written specifically for that purpose, that cold customer. You can be a bit more lazy, I guess, if you test in images, video, or text copy with existing, because they're already bought into you. They're there and they're with you. They get you. They're on the journey with you. They've probably bought before or are about to anyway. But it's that specific testing that targets that very cold customer that's maybe product unaware, and certainly brand unaware. And it's how you stop them in the tracks and make them go, that's interesting. And actually, those images that we looked at on the last, or those videos rather, that we looked at on the last few slides, they perform really well in front of new customers in doing just that. People see some legs and some nice lighting and think, oh, wow, what's that? And you've just got that little visual hook that gets people along the journey with you.
Absolutely. I think when you craft a copy or a title, more specifically, there is a methodology to do that properly, but it all ties into what is my brand offering. It might not be just the product. It might be, on the emotional level, on the end results. I mean, you buy a pair of shoes, the results that comes into mind is, I got a new pair of shoes, but it's not that. Is I look beautiful. I feel maybe more confident. I feel more seductive, anything, there's several types of results and end results, and there's always an end result to the end result. And so you need to kind of drill down as far as possible, and then say, I want to present a title that we really hit, that needs, or that wants, that my client wants in the way. So Find Your Perfect Pair, might be, I always shop for shoes and I'm never finding what I want. So if they have that in mind, it will resonate, and then you will hit the mark. But if they want something, that is a bit luxurious, original, crafted, man-crafted, handcrafted, and with a lot of history and culture behind it, then Original Sandal Brand or Shop the Original Sandal might be a better title. But yeah.
Often there's two things, isn't there? The first one is the brand's why. So why did they start? Why do they exist? And the second thing is transformation. So what does that brand's why do to transform that customer? The fact that it's a pair of sandals or a briefcase or a suitcase or a dress or a pair of trousers is immaterial, if you pardon the pun, to a premium customer, high net worth individual. Is not interested in that. What they're interested in is how that product makes them feel and how it transforms them. So with Aintree sandals here as the example that we're giving, the transformation is that sort of really busy person doing 12-hour days in cities around the world. And it's in the winter in some parts of the world that we sell to. They're cold. They just want to be transformed away from that into the 35-degree heat of a Greek beach, and how that makes them feel, the smell of lemons, the smell of the food, the walk along the coast. That's what they're interested in, and that's what we should be testing in these environments.
Absolutely. Now, there's a kind of new way of testing that came up in the recent year, thanks to technology, AI, which is something that you can do either you have possibly run a first test and you have few candidates that have been good, and then you're not sure which one to choose. Or if we all are in a hurry, everybody wants things being done for yesterday, and so you're like, I need to take the time to do the test, but at the same time I need my business to start, or I need this new campaign to start right now, and so there is a new way that you can test while running normal business operation, which is what I'm going to show you right now. So Meta, for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, has changed. Well, their interface is changing the whole time. As a professional media buyers that uses Meta on a daily basis, sometimes just refresh my screen and my screen, and I see new fields and things that have moved apart. So I think Meta people are crazy. They're just changing maybe 4 times in the same day. They might be doing the little changes to their interface. And so you can notice that here, the primary text field where you type the copy, the main copy, you can have several, and you can click on that button, add text option, and you can go with up to 5 fields. Same for the headline below, which basically is a way for you to enter all your test candidates and run the ad, and the test will be baked in. That means that you will be able to start the ad, and the algorithm will do the test in the back end without you knowing it. And so it's a black box, it's not documented, but the best assumption is that once they decide they have reached statistical significance and they spend enough on each one of them to see enough signal to say our best primary text is this one, our best headline is this one, they'll start using it. And so basically there's a test phase and then a production phase or a normal business phase that comes right after that. That is all packaged together in that new way of doing things, in that feature. So yeah, basically the primary text. So in your preview, you won't see all 3 primary texts. You will see the first one, but be sure that down the line it will be used. The preview will only display one of them. And so this is how you can see basically your test results. You will open a new report, and you will change the breakdown. Instead of campaigns or ad as the left first column, you will look for text or headline. And this is where you can see that the algorithm will have used all of the text. We will have given it and performed the test. And then you will see here that there's one that stands out in terms of amount spent. So sometimes there's a mistake that can be done, and I was myself a bit surprised in the beginning, is that you can see, for example, that the fifth from the top has a CTR of 3.64%, which seems to be like the biggest CTR of all. And then you would think, this is the one that I need to use. So the amount spent is 72 euros. The first one has a CTR. The one that the algorithm has spent the most has a CTR of 1.33, which seems to be less. So we can imagine that at some point of the test, all our candidates had the same amount of spend, and that the algorithm had made the decision at that point based on the result that were different at that point. So the CTR was different than what it is today. And so at that point, it had spent enough on each one of them, made a decision, and would have spent more on the first candidate. What happens typically is that the more you spend, the more the algorithm will go into different pouches and layers of user. Some of them will be, very well designated target based on several data points that really match the profile of your perfect user. So this feature will be good. But as it exhausts the best possible user for you to be shown your ad, it will go into profile of user that might be, a bit further of what your ideal client is, and this is where the CTR goes lower. So basically, you get a mix. 1.33% CTR is a super good CTR. Typically, everything around 1 is deemed as good. So 133 is definitely a good one. And so if the algorithm decides to spend more on one of those, it means that the signals were enough for them to decide that this is the test winner. Same for headlines. We can see that there's a massive difference, even more so than for the copy. On the first one, spend 6,000 euros on this one, and that's, I think, in a course of a month. So this one is the one that seems to have worked the best into that test.
And I think the message there really is, from looking at some of that data, that actually testing is one of the best ways to grow, because of course you've got lots and lots of different variants, different headlines, different primary text. You've got video, you've got image, and so we spend most of our days and weeks testing different iterations, different versions. For that reason, you've got a difference between something that can spend a few euros to several thousand euros and produce 3 times ROAS and beyond. So it's super important. Thanks for going through that, DJ. Conscious we've got about 3.5 minutes left, so I've got some quick fire questions for you. Now, we haven't prepped this, so hold on to your seats. We're gonna go for it. So I've already asked you the copy versus image question, which is the best. So you've answered that one. Next one is image versus video. What tends to perform best?
So we're going to, it's funny you ask this question because I'm going to jump into a topic you love, which is funnel stage.
Yes, love it.
So you know that when somebody is totally product or more brand unaware, you need to start a conversation with them, and we don't expect usually that it can happen, but typically they won't buy with seeing your ads only once. And so you want first to engage the conversation and to show them the perfect asset that will be the most appropriate for that stage of the relationship, where they know that they want to buy a pair of shoes or a pair of sandals, but they don't know us. And so why would they buy with us rather than another brand? Because maybe they know us, they like us, and they trust us. So this is the KLT, one of my best acronym in my job: know, like, trust, KLT. And so to develop KLT, we might need a certain amount of touch points. And so it seems that videos are the best, one of the best assets to grab attention and to start that conversation, basically. It wouldn't make sense. So that would be an assumption, but in a video you can, it's made of several images, several scenes, several possibly messages. So you can package several ideas and several messages in one asset. But typically we can also see that through the data that typically videos have a higher CTR. And for any reason, we also see through data that images seem to be better to close. So you to close a sale. So you typically see very high CTR on your videos, but possibly less conversion. Do not discard your videos because of that. It's probably what you expect. You want that. You want high CTR on your videos and better conversion on your images, because they all fit different part of the funnel in the relationship.
Okay, we're going to really try to squeeze one last one in now, with a minute to go. Algorithm-driven campaigns in Meta for testing, such as Advantage Plus or manual?
So I came to realize, again, that's my experience rather than something documented, that Advantage Plus could be a campaign, a normal campaign, where you just don't put any parameters. You leave it all open and to the discretion of the algorithm. So I think this, you can basically do both indifferently.
Love it. And there's probably 10, 20 seconds left for the last very quick one. Style of videos. What are you seeing working better on Meta?
Can you tell me on the top of your head the different styles that you have in mind?
So like, is it more UGC? Is it more brand style of video? Is it more sort of conversational? What are you seeing working across our clients?
I think they all fit a different stage of the purpose. When so branded videos, for example, are great to start and for a brand to tell their customer, this is what I can do for you, and this is who I am, and you can develop KLT over me. UGC is something, a third party talking about the brand, and even if sometimes there's the suspicion that the UGC can be briefed, and the person, the actor, or the influencer in the UGC is in collaboration with the brand. I guess unconsciously it's still a third party talking about the brand, and this is great to kind of confirm that the brand is trustable. So it would be better down the funnel if the user has some hesitation. They can be, and there's a message also. So if the UGC says, I received this in this type of box, it was packaged like this, it came quickly, I had no problem at the custom, or it came, it was pristine, and then they use a first very high-end courier or transportation company. These are a lot of parameters that also can play the game, play an important role. So they're all important. I believe all brands should create UGC. If they're not one of the first 3-4 known brand in their category, in their industry.
Yeah, completely agree. It's that social lever of somebody that looks like me, sounds like me, acts like me, likes this product. So in our brains, we think, oh, I should as well. So yeah, no, absolutely. Really DJ, we're 2 minutes over. You've been an absolute star. Thanks for running through this with us. Hopefully the listeners on Spotify and also the watchers have found it useful. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for having me, Andy.